Well, the Packers are now 9-4. Definitely should have won tonight and have many chances to win, but at the very least, they show they can hang with the Lions at the very least. I know I'm going to get shit for this because I picked the Packers to win, but again, it was very close. Losing at the end on a field goal. We'll get you next time in the playoffs when we assuredly will play each other again. I'm gonna call it now because I think the Packers are gonna make the playoffs. They just need to win a game or two. That they will be playing against the Detroit Lions in Detroit at some point in the playoffs, and there the Packers will get them. It's probably a long shot, but I still think this team has it. Just at times the defense just falls apart. I mean, they made some good plays today. They got the stop, but of course, gambling Dan Campbell just knows how to beat the Packers. He just does. He's just a better coach than Matt LaFleur. And again, Matt LaFleur shows why he just has no killer instinct in him whatsoever. No way to motivate his team. Absolutely doesn't bring the best out of his guys. It's just ridiculous. I mean, at the very least, with the way the game started, you would have figured this game would have been a blowout. But Packers hung in there. Detroit made enough mistakes for that to happen. I mean, with the going for it on their own 32. Again, if you're a Lions fan, that's going to kill you in the playoffs. You cannot do that against good teams in the playoffs, and it's going to come back to bite them at some point. The gambling Dan Campbell is going to bite himself in the own ass, and man, we're going to go through it like we always do, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. Otherwise, let's get to it. The Packers. Again, Love doesn't throw any interceptions, but again, he doesn't make enough good plays to win. He had Tucker Kraft wide open for a touchdown. Overthrew him. He had a flea flicker. Fumbles it up and then ends up taking a sack. They tried the flea flicker twice today, and both ended in sacks. I mean, it's just... He can't handle pressure. He just can't handle pressure whatsoever. He still makes good plays, like that one big throw to Christian Watson in the beginning of the second quarter. That was really nice. That was really nice. And then they got the lead after the interception. But again, not enough plays are being made for this team to win. And now the Packers lost two more players on the defensive side. Evan Williams going out with assumingly a concussion. Board going down what seemed like a lower leg injury. And now they're starting to drop bodies again, which is never good for the Packers. Whenever they start losing bodies left and right, it doesn't end up well for them. But let's highlight the positives. Josh Jacobs had 3 touchdowns again, close to 70 yards rushing. He was good for the most part, although he got stuffed a couple times. Or Jordan Love, even though he had those couple really bad plays where, I mean, if he's able to handle the pressure, they probably get a couple more touchdowns and possibly win the game, but of course not. They held up the Lions' rushing attack at times, but again, when it comes down to most, the Packers' defense falls flat. Absolutely fell flat, and you wonder, like, they get a new defensive coordinator and things just stay the same. I mean, they get a little more opportunistic on the turnovers, but then they're giving up big gashes. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, those short intermediate throws, forget about it. The Packers don't care about those. They'll give them up every day, and as a result of that, they end up getting killed with it nonstop. Whenever you're playing against the Packers and you're a quarterback, you can always depend on a short intermediate route being there. There's always there. There's always a receiver there. There's always a running back there. There's always somebody to catch the ball and get 7 or 8 yards every time. Every fucking time. It's always there. Running the ball. Now, the Packers may have gotten a couple stops today, but again, for the large part, they just played better. They schemed better. I mean, that opening drive was absolute perfection for the Lions offense. You couldn't have drawn off a better drive if you had some of the greatest offensive coordinators or coaches in history. Ben Johnson just drew up a perfect play. I mean, that run-in on a simple halfback offshoot, and just the line opens like the Red Sea, and they score. Uh, they held Amon-Ra St. Brown under wraps for most of the game, but again, when it mattered most, he was wide open, making plays, and Tim Patrick, who's just hasn't scored anything since 2021, gets 2 touchdowns today. Jared Goff showed up for a time. He had that really bad interception, and if it wasn't for that, this game would not have been close. But again, it's just like that final drive for the Packers should have ended in a touchdown. Absolutely should have. But again, they take bad penalties. That fucking block by Christian Watson. Come on, man. It's a wide receiver. You cannot pick the defender. You cannot do it. They're going to call it every time, and sure enough, they did. Now there were a couple times today where the refs just missed blatant penalties on the Lions defense. That Bush League hands to the face call on Zadarius Smith, where he literally ripped off his helmet. Is like, no, you got to call that. There was another blatant call later in the game. Can't remember what it was. Someone getting thrown to the ground. Should have been a 15-yarder. I mean, there were definitely a couple plays today where the refs were just leading the blind when it comes to the Lions. Nothing. Oh, they can literally do any violent thing they can. Hands to the face, holding, roughing. Doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want. They're just, But I'm not going to blame it down to that. The refs definitely need to be better, but the Packers need to be better as well. They cannot keep taking these bad penalties, the holding calls, the pre-snap penalties, and these stupid pick plays. Stop picking the fucking defender. They're going to call that every time. Christian Watson killed us in so many ways tonight. That fucking fumble, too. Christian Watson is terrible. Yes, he had over 114 receiving yards. He had that big reception in the second half. But come on, those plays are not enough to overcome the blatant stupidity that he shows on a week-to-week basis. He's still dropping balls left and right. The pick play, the fumble. So many times you just watch Christian Watson out there and you think, what are you fucking doing? Just terrible. I think in the long run, the Packers will be fine. It is a loss. You lost the best team in the NFL. So it's like, there's no moral victories, but at least they made it close. But again, getting swept by the Lions is never good. And now, for sure, in the playoffs, you're going to be playing in Detroit if you play them, which I think is going to happen. I think the Lions will play the Packers once again. Either one of them will eliminate the other in the playoffs. I just believe that's how it's going to work out. Packers still have a decent schedule ahead. Yes, they play the Seahawks next, and they should be able to beat them. They have the Saints. They should be able to beat them. The Vikings, they should be able to beat the Vikings. And they should be able to win against the Bears at the end of the year. But the defense has to get better. They definitely had some good plays today. They definitely got some stops. They definitely held up the Detroit's ferocious offense for a time. But again, they didn't make enough plays. They fell apart at the last second. 4th and 1, and you need the stop. And what happens? Fucking wide open pass. Wide open. Like I said earlier, these intermediate short routes are always there. Whenever it's 4th and 1 and the Lions need to run, just run the ball every time. It doesn't matter where you are. Okay, maybe not if you're at your own 30 and it's a close game in the third quarter. Probably you don't want to do that. But any other time, if you're in the opponent's or opposing, or if you're in the Packers side of the field, it's 4th and 1. Just run the ball. Just run the ball. You'll get it. You'll get it just about every time because the Packers can't stop anybody on 4th down. Yes, they made that one stop at the Lions 32-yard line, but Jahmyr Gibbs went to the outside and he actually fumbled on that play as well. And the Packers were able to capitalize on it, but too many plays, too many times, they're just missing. They're flat out missing. And it just sucks to watch. It just sucks to watch this team fumble away opportunities left and right, literally and figuratively, with fucking Christian Watson fumble, the pick play for Watson too, the overthrows by Love. I mean, seriously, that throw to Tucker Kraft, it was a perfect play drawn up. He was wide open, and all he has to do is just put a little more into the ball, and he's able to sail it out, and Tucker Kraft comes away with the touchdown. But no, he's just overthrowing left and right. And again, like I said earlier, he can't take the rush. The Lions' defensive line is completely bad. They even lost Lee McNeil in this game. It doesn't matter. They still got pressure. They still got pressure against the Packers. I thought the Packers' offensive line was one of the best in the league, but apparently not. They can't stop anything at times, especially when they play good teams. They cannot hold on for long. They held out longer because of the rivalry, and at times I thought the Packers might actually win, but at times it's just like the whole last drive for the Lions. I knew they're not going to win. They're not going to win. They're not going to get a stop. Even if they are stopping for a field goal, they're not going to have enough time to go down the field and score a touchdown. I just knew it. Knew it. The Packers. Packers are the most frustrating team to watch sometime, but they're still my team. And at the end of the day, the Packers are still the greatest team in the history of the NFL. I don't care what any other fans say. The Packers are a better overall team throughout the years than the Patriots and Steelers and Cowboys and 49ers. Second, look at the rings. Look at the championships. The Packers still beat everybody. And yes, it sucks that they haven't won for a while, but eventually we'll get there. It'll just take a while. And if they still have a chance to win out this year, they certainly still have a chance. I'm not counting them out just yet, but they have to get better. They have to get better on fourth down. They have to find that killer instinct. Do any of these players have that killer instinct? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they do. Well, I know for sure that Matt LaFleur doesn't have any killer instinct in him, but Packers got to find him, man, because the Lions just eat their lunch all the time. Packers certainly made it closer than it probably should have been, especially based on the opening drive, but Packers need to get better. They just need to get better. A frustrating day for sure, but Packers season is by no means over. So take advantage of the extended rest going into next week for, I believe it's Sunday Night Football in Seattle. The Packers should be able to win that game, but man, they just got to get better against the teams they need to beat. And losing to the Lions twice in 1 year is never good. The Lions just continue to dominate the Packers in the series lately, and it's probably going to be that way for the next couple of years until the Packers find that killer instinct. Find guys that don't consistently get hurt and come out at the worst time. Again, Lucas Van Ness went out, just not making plays. You would think the Packers, with how bad the Lions' offensive line would be, that they would be able to get in there. But they did for a time, but every time it looked like they were going to get a sack. Like there was one play where someone got in there, and instead of going for Jahmyr Gibbs, he goes for Jared Goff, and Jahmyr Gibbs goes for like 15, 16 yards. It's just, some of these plays the Packers make are just unbelievable. And you just shake your head. But again, we're fans. We stick by our team no matter what. We're not Bears fans. We don't just throw our team aside when we suck like they do this year. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. The Packers lost. Let me have it. But the Packers still have plenty of things to work on. But by no means their season is over. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, go Pack Go, and God bless.